Hello, stamping friends. It's Angie here with our weekly live class, and I am with Too Cool Stamping, and I'm also an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I'm so glad that you could join me today. Today is our second Christmas, and we're gonna feature the fun Tidings and Trimmings bundle this week. So hopefully you will be joining me in trying to create our Christmas cards a little bit earlier this year, so we're not down to the last minute getting all stressed out about it. So that's what this Christmas in July is all about. And this is part 2. We had our part 1 last week with the Evergreen Elegance bundle, and you can see that you can either go to my Facebook page and see the replay there, or my Too Cool Stamping YouTube channel. Okay, just a couple of housekeeping notes before we get started with today's projects. So first of all, don't forget that this month and into August, until August 2nd, there is a Designer Series paper sale. Excuse me. Designer Series paper sale, it's 15% off the standard packs of Designer Series paper from the annual catalog. And that includes our Christmas, or what is it called? Tidings of Christmas Designer Series paper that we used last week, as well as on this week's projects. So you can get this 6x6 pack of paper. There's beautiful designs on both sides as usual, and that is 15% off. So don't forget to pick up a pack of that to go along with your class today. So that's happening. Also happening, coming up in just a little over 2 weeks, you guys, the new mini catalog is going to be coming out. This is the holiday catalog, basically. So it's the mini catalog for the second part of the year. It begins on August 3rd, and I cannot wait to share products with you from that. And then, have you heard? There's another celebration coming. This is the first time ever. This is a mid-year celebration. I'm calling it Celebration 2.0, and that happens starting the same time as the mini catalog. So August 3rd, we'll have our new celebration that's going to last through September 30th. And just like we do every celebration, $50 or $100, you can choose a free item from this catalog. So I just wanted to give you a heads up that that is coming your way. It all begins on August 3rd. And I did mail out catalogs to my my active customers from the past 6 months. If you're not sure if you're on that list, let me know. If you'd like a catalog, I'm happy to send that out to you. Just let me know. You can send me a direct message or go to my toocoolstamping.com website and send me an email that way. All right. You'll have to pardon me. I've just had the worst throat issues lately. I don't know what the deal is with that, so I apologize. All right, a couple more things. I've had several people asking me about, since we have a new mini catalog coming out, are we going to have a paper share? Yes, of course we're going to have a paper share. So every time a new catalog is released, I like to do a paper share, which is gathering up 8 people, groups of 8 people, so that we can split up all the new packs of Designer Series paper. So everyone can get a sampling of each style of paper. So I'm going to have more information about that coming up probably next week, and as we get closer to that August 3rd release date for the new paper, and then we'll get those on order for all of the people who want to participate. Also, I've had questions about, am I going to do Countdown to Christmas this year? Yes, I'm going to do that. I've done that, I don't even know how many years now. Too many to count. So my Countdown to Christmas class is a 4-month-long Christmas class. We're trying to get our Christmas cards done early. This is kind of a little bit of a kickoff to that, but we're going to start the Countdown to Christmas in the middle of August, and so it's going to wrap up by the middle of November this year. So a little bit different timing, but we're going to start it a little bit earlier so that you'll have plenty of time once you get those kits to make those cards. So look for more information about that. Again, it's kind of a series. You can take part with just 1 or all 4 of the classes, and they're like little Stamp-A-Stack classes. So you're going to make 12 cards for each class, and we usually do either 4 each of 3 designs, or so. I'll have more information, as I said, about that as we get closer. So that will happen from August through November, and I don't have the specific dates yet, but again, just stay tuned and I will have more information in the next couple of weeks. Okay, let's get started with our projects today. I know you're gonna love them. Hopefully you're in a little bit of a Christmassy mood in the middle of July. I don't know about you, but it's kind of getting hot and humid again here in Indiana. And that's okay. We have the air conditioner cranked up and we're trying to get a little festive and get excited about, we're using some Christmas products from the annual catalog, but that mini catalog has some really awesome new holiday products that I cannot wait for you to see. So, all right, I'm gonna flip the camera around, so hold on for a moment. I apologize for the roller coaster. All right, you always get a nice view of my ceiling. Isn't that special? I love it. So like we've been doing every week, we're gonna have a live class kit available to go along with today's class. So if you place an order with me of $35 or more, using the host code that you see at the top of the screen, then you can get a 5-card class kit. You'll get all the supplies that you need to create the 5 cards that I'm demonstrating today, and you just need to add your stamps, inks, and adhesives. So let me just start by showing you what we are featuring today. We're going to feature the Tidings and Trimmings bundle. I love the stamp set. It has some beautiful imagery here. I love stockings. They're just a really classic Christmas image. And then also stars is the other theme. And then we have some beautiful leaves and foliage and berries, a little bow that you can hang on your star or your stocking, and some really nice sentiments that you can use either inside or outside of cards. And that's one thing that always comes in handy for the holiday season. All right, and going along with that is the Christmas Tidings dies. These are going to correspond with the same imagery that you cut out for the stocking. We have cutouts for the star. We even have cutouts for the leaf shapes. These are 2-step leaf imagery. And then some additional berries and things that you can cut out as well as some holly leaves and some berries that you can put on your holly leaves. And then these beautiful intricate star dies. I love these, and we're going to use that on several of our cards. 2 of our cards, you'll see this beautiful star intricate die. So really fun dies that go along with that. So that's the Tidings and Trimmings bundle. And then like we did last week, we're going to be using the Tidings of Christmas designer series paper that has 6 different double-sided sheets. You're going to get 8 of each sheet. So it's like a full pack. It is a 6x6 size, but it's like a full pack of paper just cut down to 6x6 size. And it has beautiful evergreen, soft succulent, Sahara sand, misty moonlight even, some cherry cobbler, and some really pretty floral foliage type of imagery on one side. And then of course the other side has more of the stripes and more contrasting background type of patterns that coordinate very well with those larger patterns on the back. So beautiful, beautiful paper. As I mentioned before, this is on sale for 15% off through August 2nd as part of the designer series paper sale. So be sure to pick up a pack or 2 of that to go along with your Christmas card making. Okay, let's get on to our cards for today. The first one, we're going to jump right in. We're going to do a simple card that just has some stamps, ink, and paper. Not a lot of, you don't need a lot of dies and a lot of different layering to make a card really pretty when you have beautiful imagery that we have in this stamp set. So this one's going to start with a soft succulent card base. This is a traditional card base that I typically use, and it's scored at 4 1/4. And all of the card bases will be that size for this class. All right, next we're using the Tidings of Christmas designer series paper, and we have a little 4 by 2 inch piece. And we'll add that with some seal adhesive right along the bottom here. All right, next we have a piece of the Evening Evergreen, and this is a 3 by 4 1/4 inch piece. And this is going to be a kind of a foundation for our focal point. So I'm going to put that right in the center here of our card front. All right, let's start building our focal point. Like I said, we're going to do just stamping on this one. Let me reach over and get a piercing mat. Hold on. We are using photopolymer stamps, and I like to have a piercing mat available that has just a little bit of cushion. It's firm, but it's just a little bit of cushion, so we get a nice, everything just transfers really nice and cleanly. And then I also want to, I'm just going to put this right underneath here for the time being, because we're going to stamp off of our card stock here, and I don't want to get it on the piercing mat. Okay, let's start. I like to start with a sentiment so that we have positioning for the rest of the imagery. So I'm going to ink that up in Evening Evergreen, and we'll put that right there. This piece of basic white, let me give you a measurement. It's 2.5 by 3 3/4. Okay, next we're going to add some of these pretty leaf imagery. So I put them on, it's a 2-step stamp. You have the outline image and then the filler image. And so I put them on one block. So you have the outline image on one side and then you have the filler image on the other. I like to do that with my 2-step stamping whenever I can. It makes it really easy to find them to go together, and it just makes it a lot quicker when you're putting your projects together. So I'm going to add an Evening Evergreen leaf here. Let's put one up there. And then we'll get the soft succulent ink out, and we'll do the fill image right over the top. Because they're photopolymer, you can see right through, so you can line those up easily. And then we're going to take the second leaf image. We're going to add that in over here at the side, and I think just one. So we have 3 different leaves going on, and then I'll use the soft succulent again on the fill image on the other side. And then we're going to use a little berries branch. This one's going to be in Cherry Cobbler. I think we're done with these 2 colors for now. Sorry, I see we're having some connection issues, so I hope that that's not interfering too much. Hopefully it'll be better with the replay. Okay, we're gonna stamp the berries in Cherry Cobbler. So we'll add one here. We'll add one coming in from the side, and then also one coming in from the top. And look how easily that comes together. What a beautiful, just stamps and nothing else. Really, really pretty. Okay, we also have some little star images here. So I'm going to add that as some decoration. And I think I'm going to use there's an outline and a fill image just like we have for the other 2-step stamped images. And I'm just going to add a few of those. All right. Now I'm going to mat that on a piece of Cherry Cobbler. So that piece is a 2 5/8 by 3 7/8 piece of Cherry Cobbler. Just gives a little hint of Cherry Cobbler peeking out. And we'll finish up with a piece of the really pretty Evening Evergreen. This is the Chevron weave ribbon. I don't know if you can see that texture, but it's really, really pretty. It's a soft, easy to tie piece, and I'm just going to add that right across where the top of that designer series paper is. So I'm just going to add a little bit of adhesive, and then we'll put that right across there and trim up the ends. This is just going to kind of peek out from behind the focal point. And then we're going to pop this section up with some of the foam dimensionals. So I'll add that. And I do want to add just a little bit of sparkle. So I have my Wink of Stella. If you don't have a Wink of Stella, if you've never used this, it's totally worth it. It makes everything just a little shimmery and a little more fun. I'm going to fill in those stars so they're twinkling. And then if you are really, really careful and just use the very tip of your Wink of Stella, you can just very gently and lightly dot each one of these berries. It just gives it a little bit of glisten. You don't want to do a lot of push down on it because it will cause the ink to bleed. It's water soluble ink and you don't want that ink to bleed. But if you just do a very light touch, that's going to give you just a little bit of a hint of sparkle on each one of those berries, like they're shining. So let's see if you can, if the camera picks it up. I don't know if it will or not. It's just such a small hint of shimmer, but it looks really, really pretty in real life. So this is our first card. And as I typically do, I do 2 cool versions of all of my cards. And for this one, designer series paper to kind of lend a different color combination. So this paper is from the Beauty of the Earth designer series paper. That's also on sale with the 15% off. And I added some of the Just Jade gingham. That's from the Flowers for Every Season ribbon combo pack. We're on a misty moonlight background, a night of navy matte, a soft succulent matte, and then the same imagery. We're just using different colors. I used Night of Navy for the middle sentiment, Night of Navy for the outline stamps, and then Soft Succulent for the fill. And then I stamped off in Misty Moonlight for the berries and used the same Sahara sand for the star images. So just another, I did make this paper just a little bit taller. I wanted to see a little bit more of that. It's kind of like an evergreen print. So I really like how that turned out in a different, more of a wintry color combination. All right. Oh, I really love this next card, and I hope you do too. I told you I like stocking imagery, and this one begins with a gray granite card base. Gray granite is not one of the colors that are in the Tidings of Christmas Designer Series paper pack, but it's a color that's neutral, and it's also, it coordinates really well with these same colors. So I'm going to add a piece of the Tidings of Christmas. This is a 1 1/4 by taking out here, just like a 1/4 of an inch edge. Next, I have a piece of cherry cobbler, and this is a 2 1/2, I believe. Yeah, 2 1/2 by 5 1/2 inch piece. I've already textured that with one of the embossing folders from the Greenery pack. This is one of the mini embossing folder packs, and it went with the Forever Greenery stamp set, or the suite that was from the previous catalog, but we still have these folders. And I love that it has the leaves and the berry imagery just like the stamp set in here, so perfectly coordinates. So we're going to add that. We're just going to butt it right up next to the Designer Series paper. Next, we're going to add some ribbon, kind of like we did with the other one. We're going to just add right along that seam a strip of the seal adhesive, and then we're going to add this beautiful mint macaron soft velvet. It's so pretty, so elegant, and it's perfect for holiday cards because it has that really nice elegant look. And then we're just going to use our scissors, and I'm going to trim this piece off because I like it to be flush. And we're going to trim that ribbon off as well, so that's nice and flush. Just gives you a little bit of texture and a little pop of color. All right, next up, we're going to have our focal point. I have a basic white die cut here that I die cut with the Layering Circles dies. And I'm going to add a sentiment to that in Cherry Cobbler. Just a basic Noel. All right. So that is going to go on our card about here. And then we're going to stamp those really pretty stockings. So this time we're going to start with, actually, let's see, we're going to do gray granite. And there's two different stockings. I'm going to do the one that's more of an outline. I'm going to stamp that once in gray granite. And then I forgot to bring my, hold on one second. There's always something I forget. My Simply Chamois, hold on, it's within a couple of feet. Okay, I need to clean in between here, so I needed my Simply Chamois. We're going to stamp another stocking in Cherry Cobbler. And then another image, this is just scrap paper we're using. We're going to stamp that pretty bow in Cherry Cobbler. And we're going to add a little bit of color with some Stampin' Blends markers. I really apologize, we're having some definite connection issues, so hopefully you're getting something out of this and it's not just completely garbled. I'm gonna add a little bit of the light cherry, is it light cherry cobbler? Yes, light cherry cobbler ink to the ribbon, give it a little color. So we have a pop of red. And I'm just using the very tip of the brush tip end. I'm not doing very good with coloring. I did better on my die cut, which you will see in a minute. So that we're gonna have that ribbon. Then also, we're gonna use the dark mint macaron. And I'm gonna add that color to the top of the Sahara, or the gray granite one. So the cuff of the stocking has some color. And then I also wanted to just add a little bit of color to each one of those leaves that have a little line down the middle. There's a lot of different leaves there. Some of them are open, some have a vein down the middle, and the ones that have a vein, I'm just adding a little bit of dark mint macaron coloring. Okay, so I already ran these images through the die cut machine. The Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. So I have these elements now. And you can just use the Christmas Tidings dies for that, the stocking, and then there's also the bow die. So it cuts it out so nicely. And then, so this is gonna go like that. We're gonna add in, let's just use a glue dot for our bow. We'll stick that on a glue dot and pop that right here. And then add some seal to the whole back. You could pop it up with dimensionals if you wanted to, but I like just adding it with seal and then popping it with dimensionals with the circle. So to do that, we don't want any dimensionals to be touching our ribbon because that's going to make it kind of awkward and uneven and bulky. So we're going to do a 180 flip. And then we'll get our dimensionals out here and add those. Okay. We're gonna finish this up with some rhinestones that we're gonna alter with the, let's see, we're going to use that same dark mint macaron. And if you just use the bullet tip end and gently just go in a little circle around each of the rhinestones, just adds just a tiny bit of color. And just to let you know, I do not color the rhinestones for you in your kit. You do need to add your own ink, and that includes the Stampin' Up! Or Stampin' Blends markers. So you do need to add that yourself. But if you don't have the markers, just the plain clear have color. It's just kind of a nice little addition if you want to have just a little more color coordinated card. So there's our card. If you wanted to add some Wink of Stella, that would be really pretty too. And then I did a second version, my Too Cool version. This time I started out with the hand-penned designer series paper. That's like a, probably a, let's get the ruler out. It's a 1 1/4 inch piece by 5.5. And I guess it's the same as this strip. This time I did mint macaron, and of course I did it on a horizontal orientation this time. The background, the card base, is a Sahara sand, and I stamped the stockings in Sahara sand, mint macaron. You can see this is the more solid pattern of stocking that I chose to use for this one. And then here's some of these die cuts. I have to say, I had to make a choice. I love these die cuts. They look so pretty, and you're going to want to try some of those on these cards. I didn't put them as the card on the cards that I'm sending out simply because there's so many die cuts. It just would take me forever to put those kits together. But if you get the dies, you're going to be able to do those on your own. So here's just an example of one thing you could do with the holly leaves. I did that in soft succulent, and the 3 little berries. That's this little piece right here, has all the berries, or this berry branch, you could just cut off you could do the whole branch and then cut off the berries. That's an easy way to do it too. So I just added those with some glue dots. And then the past couple of classes I've been using this real red sheer ribbon. I kept thinking it was still available. It's not right now. It was an item that was available in last year's holiday catalog. And then it took a little hiatus, but it will be coming back in the upcoming mini catalog. It's one of the returning favorites. So that is some ribbon that you can get beginning on August 3rd again. So it's not available right now, but so those are our 2 cool versions. Okay. Next up, we're going to stick with the stocking theme. This time we'll start with Cherry Cobbler for our card base. And we're going to do a little bit of stamping on that as well. We'll do that with Cherry Cobbler again. And I need to clean my little leaf stamps here because I'm going to use those. So I'm just going to start right along the edge here. I'm going to add just a few stamps. And let's get the 3-leaf version in there too. Okay, maybe we'll even do some of the berries as well. Okay, whoops, I forgot that some of those are going to be covered up. I forgot how big my next piece is, but you'll see that in a second. Okay, so we have this piece of soft succulent. This is a 2 3/4 by 5.5, and I've already embossed that with the wintry, I used the wintry 3D, or no, wintry mini embossing folder pack. There's 2 embossing folders. They're mini size, and one is this really pretty pine needles, and then the other one is snowflakes, which I haven't even used yet, but that one's really, really pretty as well. So I'm going to add that to a piece of Evening Evergreen, and this piece is 3 by 5.5, a little bit peeking out of each side. And then before I add that to the card front, I do want to put some ribbon around the bottom. So I have my Evening Evergreen open weave ribbon. You can get this style of ribbon in all of the brand new in colors this year. And I love it. It's so easy to tie. I love that it is so sheer. And it's also kind of shiny too. So adds a little shimmer to your card. Trim that off. And now we can add that to the card front. And you can see where I will be covering up some of my imagery, but you do have a little bit of the cherry cobbler leaves sticking out there. So hopefully you can see that. Just a little bit of a background pattern. All right, let's work on our foundation here. I have a basic white die cut. This is with the Tasteful Labels dies. And this time, I just used some of the Tidings of Christmas Designer Series paper and the stocking die and cut out some different patterns. So I have a stocking here with one of the patterns, and then I have a little piece here, which I just layered these, a little tiny piece on top of that, like this, through the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. You can cut both of those layers at once. And then we're just going to trim that up a little bit so that it's just the cuff of our stocking. And we'll add that to the top of our stocking. So it just looks like a little fabric stocking, and that's going to go on there. We can go ahead and pop that up with some dimensionals. Now let's add a little sentiment. I have a little strip here. It's like a 3/8 inch wide strip. And I'm gonna stamp that in cherry cobbler. A little tiny sentiment here. Season's greetings. So you can make that banner as long as you want. I'm going to make it about this long. So this is just a strip you can cut down to whatever size you need. Do a little banner cut on this side. And then I'm going to add that to the top of the stocking. And I just need a little mini dimensional. I love these little mini dimensionals. They come in handy for small spaces like this. So this is just going to go right over the top. And before we add that, I have a little piece here of the Tidings of Christmas paper. It's a 1 1/4 by 4 1/4 inch piece. I'm going to banner cut the bottom of that as well. So up the middle, and then corner to center with the paper snips. They cut clear to the end. They're very sharp. I highly recommend paper snips. To the top. Let's just do it right about here. And then we'll add this piece over the top. You could pop that up with dimensionals if you wanted to. And we'll finish up with a couple of different accents. This is just a little piece of Baker's Twine from the Baker's Twine Essentials pack. And I just want to glue dot that on there. So I'll add that to a glue dot on my strip here. And kind of pinch it to get that glue dot underneath. And add a little bow right at the top. This gives it a little bit of texture. And then once again, we're going to use the rhinestones. If I can find, here we go. I threw them clear out of sight. And this time I have my dark soft succulent. I'm going to alter 3 of those just like I did before. I like adding 3. Everything's better in an odd number in my mind. when it comes to design. All right, there we go. So this is our third card, and I love that you can use that die cut to, I mean, you could use it with textured paper, cardstock that's stamped, anything that you want to cut out. My Too Cool version, I kind of did an opposite look here. So I started with the soft succulent card base. The background I did in bricks, which I really like that. It makes you kind of think of a fireplace. The little berries here are in the Sahara sand, and my background is Sahara sand because I used a different pattern that was mostly white. So you can see that I just tried a different combination of the Tidings of Christmas papers. Evergreen this time, a different designer series paper little banner in the background. And then this gives you an idea of some of the fun things that you can do with the different die cuts. So again, we have the holly leaves. You can add some real red rhinestones as your berries, perfect size for that. And then you have these beautiful die cuts that you can have coming out of your stocking. You could have them coming out from behind things. So much variety that you can do on your own. So again, I didn't want to include this. This was just going to be way too much die cutting for me to include in the kit, but it's something that you can think about as you're designing your own, as you're assembling your own cards. If you didn't want to use this, or maybe in addition to that, you wanted to do some of the die cutting, that's really going to enhance. I just love the way that looks. Just gives it a lot of dimension and texture. So don't be afraid to try something like that on your cards at home. I also use some of the soft succulent open weave ribbon here too. Okay, fourth card. This one is going to begin with the Evening Evergreen. And then I have an Evening Evergreen layer, 4 by 5 1/4. I've already textured that with the Tasteful Textiles designer or embossing folder, not designer series paper. This is one of those textures that just goes with everything. So I love it. Very, very versatile. So that's going on our background here. Then for our part of our focal point, I have a piece here of soft succulent that I've already die cut. And the measurement on that is 3 1/2. So I have my star die cut. I'm going to stamp in Cherry Cobbler the large sentiment here. It's the most wonderful time of the year. Doesn't that make you want to sing a song? I would sing for you, but really, you don't want to hear that. So here is our Cherry Cobbler on the bottom. Then I'm going to add, this is some Simply Elegant gold cord. And I'm just going to tie that in a knot. Gives it a little pop of gold metallic. So we're just going to tie it in a double knot and then trim the ends. And we'll going to move that over a little bit. There we go. Then we're going to set this aside for now. We have a piece of designer series paper, the Tidings of Christmas, and you could use either side. I liked this side. And I wanted to pop this up so it's kind of a recessed look. So what I'm going to do for that is add some dimensionals first to the back here. And you want to add dimensionals in every little corner here of the star. So we'll take all the backings off. All right, and then we want this paper to show through, so I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to cover that hole. And then we're going to add some of the seal on the background. Now you might want to add the seal before you put it on the dimensionals, but it actually doesn't, it goes on pretty easily. So now you can see that that's nice and popped up. You have a recessed window there. So you can add that to the front of your card. And then we're gonna fill this with a little focal point. I have another die cut, so I used the smaller star here with cherry cobbler. And I'm just gonna add that. Well, before I do, let me do the top part of that, because I also used that intricate die that goes with it and some gold foil. And I love, love, love how that has turned out. So to put that on, I'm gonna do a little bit of gluing. You could just kind of dab it on the back, but they're very, very skinny little edges here. So what I'm gonna do is just put a little bit of the liquid glue on my silicone mat, and then you can just dab it with a sponge. Now we don't have sponges anymore we don't have any, they don't carry those anymore at Stampin' Up! For some reason, but we do have sponge daubers, or if you have any, just get a sponge at a local craft store, also works. And then you can just lightly dab on some glue, and that just has just enough that it's gonna stick. You're not gonna have a whole bunch flowing out from under and showing. So we'll do that. We're gonna add that to our card with some seal. Or you could use the liquid glue if you wanted to. A lot of people like to use liquid glue as their main adhesive, and that's just fine too. All right, I love that focal point. We're gonna try those rhinestones again. This time we're gonna alter them with the Dark Evening Evergreen, and I'm gonna use a large one. Doesn't take much color to alter it, and we're just gonna add that right in the center of our star. All right, so there is our fourth card. That was so quick and easy. I love that multi-dimensional window, kind of recessed window look, and then the pop of gold that goes with it. Let me show you another version. This one, I use the Simply Elegant paper in the background with some basic gray, some smoky slate, that same Simply Elegant trim, basic gray for your sentiment, basic gray for the main star, and then gold to pop off of that, and just a regular clear rhinestone jewel in the center. So you can see how, and this one you can see I popped up the middle piece. So this one went down into the recess. You can see that there's a recessed valley in between there. So kind of a different look. All right, and we have one more card to show you. This one starts with a basic white thick cardstock. Remember, when you're using basic white for your card base, you're going to want to use the basic white thick. It's a little bit more sturdy than basic white. It's perfect for card making for the bases. And we're going to use our piercing mat for sure on this one. And we're going to use that pretty star, the intricate star. And we're just going to stamp a random background. We're going to start on one side and work on a diagonal. So when you're doing a random background, you always want to start in the center and kind of work out. And I like to go on the diagonal. It kind of just makes it flow a little bit easier. So you just kind of fill in the blanks as you go and work out to the edges. One little boop right there. All right, perfect. So this piece is a 5 by mat that on some cherry cobbler that is 5 1/8 by 3 7/8. And then I have another, let's go ahead and add this to our card base. I have another little strip here. This is a 5 by 1 inch strip, and I've already embossed that. I don't know if you can see that very well, with the Meadow Moments embossing folders. That's another one of the mini embossing folder packs. And again, it has really pretty leaves and it has little dots. It reminds me of the leaves and the berries from this stamp set. I love how so many things coordinate with this particular suite. So this is just going to go right along kind of the lower center half there. And then remember on this card, I cut that die cut out. You want to put that to good use. So I used the center of that to be a focal point for this card. And so this is in soft succulent, and then I did the we're gonna get some more of our glue out. If it's gonna come out, there we go. And we'll flip that over, add a little bit of glue to the whole back. Just adds just a tiny amount. You don't need a whole lot to make it stick. And you don't have it all oozing out all over the place. That's my favorite part. So there is our focal point. And we're just gonna add that with some seal to our card front. If you wanted to, you could pop it up, but we are gonna pop up the next layer, which is our sentiment. So here's just a little strip, a 5 1/8 inch strip. I think it's about, let's see, what is it? It's about 2.5 almost. And there's one other sentiment. Here we go. And let me find, here we go, our Evening Evergreen. And this is, like I told you earlier, a lot of these sentiments you can use as focal points on the outside, but many of them, like this one, is perfect for the inside of your card. So don't forget to decorate the inside of your cards. It'd be so fun to, like we did on the first card, you could just put some of the leaves and berries around it and then put your sentiment on, you know, the middle of it. This is perfect for that. I'm gonna banner cut the ends here. Give it a little flare. And then we'll pop this one up over our star. So many different things that you can do with this stamp set. I love that there's just, between the dies and the imagery, the layering possibilities, lots and lots of fun. We're gonna finish up with just a couple of rhinestones. No coloring this time because we have so much white, I think. So just add a couple of those and we are done with that card. That one went together really quickly. So let me show you the second version. And I have to say I love, love, love the second version. And I would have put it in the kit, it just didn't go with the colors, but I love how this one turned out. So I did a soft suede for the card base. I stamped in crumb cake. I did an early espresso piece. Now you notice this one has a mat. This one I didn't put the mat, but I made this piece longer so it went clear out to the edge. Just a little bit of a different element there. I did crumb cake for the star. I did gold this time for the intricate cut star. And then I added again some soft suede and cherry cobbler, little foliage and berries coming out. You guys, I'm telling you what, experiment with that. They're so, so pretty. You're gonna love that for sure. I stamped the Noel in cherry cobbler, cut it out with the double oval punch, and then added a couple of Mary Merlot rhinestones from the holiday rhinestone pack. I made this card and I'm like, oh my gosh, this might have to be my Christmas card. I just love how that turned out. So beautiful, really elegant. So those are our two cool versions for our final card. Let me get all the cards together here so you can see what is in your kit. So we have all of those. get them all in the camera here. So when you are placing an order with me at toocoolstamping.com, just go there to my website, toocoolstamping.com, click on the Shop Now link. You can place your order of it, have you earn the 5-card class kit that you see here. You'll get all the parts and pieces. Everything will be nice and pre-cut, pre-die cut, pre-textured, ready to go. The only exceptions to that is anything that's stamped and then die cut. So if you stamp something, I'll give you the scrap paper to stamp on, but because it's pretty hard to stamp on a die cut like that, I'm going to have you die cut those on your own with your own bundle, or if you don't have the dies, just hand cut those. It's not a hard thing to cut out. Everything else is going to be cut for you. You're going to have you just to add the inks, adhesives, and dies if you want to, and that will help you make all of these cards. So again, that's a $35 order at toocoolstamping.com. Don't forget to use that host code SVH69M6Y. That will let me know which card kit you are wanting to earn for free. And we'll have that available until next Wednesday, which is, I think it's the 21st of July. And so you can earn it until then. And then I will mail those out on the 26th of July, which is the following Monday. So just another note, if you happen to place an order of $150 or more, that's kind of the special milestone sweet spot. And if you do hit that level, you do not want to use that. You can earn Stampin' Reward dollars that you can spend on that order. You're going to earn at least $15 to spend on a $150 order, and it goes up from there. You get 10% back for whatever your order total is. So you'll definitely want to not use the host code if you have a $150 order or more, and I will just know automatically when you place your order which kit that you're looking at for that week. All right, everybody, I hope that you've enjoyed this second part of our Christmas in July class. I hope it's got you a little bit into the festive holiday spirit. We're going to be, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to be kicking off the Countdown to Christmas class series in about a month from now, and I'll have more information about that coming soon. Our new mini catalog comes out August 3rd, along with the second Celebration 2.0 is what I'm calling it, and you'll have some free items that you can earn with every $50 or $100 order, and that all begins on August 3rd. Let me know if you need a catalog. I'll be happy to send one out to you. All right, everybody, thank you again. I appreciate you spending some time creating with me this week, and I will talk to you again next week on Thursday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time with another live class. And until then, this is Angie with toocoolstamping.com. Thanks again. Bye-bye.